Welcome to Tagami Vision. I'm Phil Tagami, and with us in studio today is a candidate for District 3 City Council, a director with Covenant House, someone who's been very active in the community, Sullivan. Sean, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Phil. It's a pleasure.
One of the general questions we like to start with is, is Oakland headed in the right direction, or are we on the wrong track?
Well, I think, frankly, Oakland is on the cusp of a renaissance. We're just stilted at this point because of the ridiculous amount of crime spiraling out of control. But there's so many good things going on in this community, from projects like yours over at the Fox and the things that it's already building and bringing around, like the new restaurants and the new nightlife, things that need some leadership to help cultivate those. Community groups that are ready to get involved and roll up their sleeves and do more. That they can make an impact on their neighborhoods and on their communities. So we have so much going on. We have new residents and old residents that have come here in the last couple of years, and we really need to just take advantage of everybody's interest and energy. But what's holding us all back is the crime that's out of control in this city.
So the election's tomorrow, and you're the winner. What are the steps that you take to address and deal with crime?
Well, right away, getting elected on June 3rd, if lucky enough to do that, before even getting into office, drawing groups together to figure out how we can address this problem. One of the things that I think is most important is getting more police on the street, having a very active community policing model in effect. It's something that the voters passed, and it's something that I think that we need to do, because people don't want to see cops just driving by, and people want a fast response time from the police, and they want to be able to see police walking down the neighborhood. If we're going to have a thriving downtown, we need to have cops in that downtown so that people can yell or yell for help if there's something that goes on, and that really
maybe not have to,
because people know there's an active presence of law enforcement here. And you see that over in the Temescal area, you see that over in Chinatown. Those are areas that just border this district, but you're not in our district because there are police there walking the beat.
Right.
And that has to do with leadership. So we do have a resource crunch, but it also is about a city council member who has a relationship with the police department that's not adversarial, that's willing to pick up the phone and make things work together, and partnering and bringing in new ways that we can have the community feel safer. The
incumbent, Nancy Nadell, has been in office for 12 years and is seeking her fourth term. Draw some differences between you and the incumbent.
Well, I think, over a period of 12 years, after someone has been in government so long, there is a clear difference with anyone coming on, especially someone who's young like myself, someone who's in touch with the youth of our community at a very real level, having done the work that I do at Covenant House, being on the streets, reaching out to these young people on a regular basis and knowing what the real problems are, what's going on in these homes that are forcing these kids onto the street. So that is one critical difference. Another thing that I think is a very clear difference is my ability to work together with people and partner with people who I always haven't agreed or haven't agreed with me, or having Covenant House in their neighborhood, and being able to draw people together. That's not something I see enough of. I can't tell you how many times by walking around this district I'm shocked, from Adams Point to the Prescott section of Oakland's West Oakland, to find people who say, well, we tried to bring this initiative forward. We contacted the city council person's office. They were either told no or nothing happened. They never got a response back. That's the clear difference that you'll see with me, as somebody who's very eager and active to engage with all those type of groups, to lift up that civic activism that exists so much here in Oakland.
So from a policy-making standpoint, have you had any experience legislatively or with policy, or have you been involved in taking any programs or policies through Oakland City government?
Well, trying to establish shelter and transitional living programs here in the city of Oakland has been one of those journeys, those legislative journeys. And we partnered with the city council person. I was dismayed in 2004 that we started in 2004. We could have started earlier, but I know she was a little reluctant, frankly, because of her election then to move forward with vigor. I know she feels, vested and responsible for that, but there's a number of things that, that she has stepped forward and said were her accomplishments, which were actually things that she opposed in the beginning and then adopted. But in terms of my own experiences, being able to move those things, both through the city, and we know it all starts in the community. we all know we have to have buy-in from the citizens first. And so that, I think, is very important experience for being able to develop policy, is having a sense of what the community wants and being able to pull all different people together. People who oppose different issues in the city, being able to come together at a table before getting into the boiler room of City Hall and yelling at each other, but being able to come together and work on how we can actually, make some headway in the city.
Recently, there was a newspaper article talking about salaries in City Hall. And as many of us know, and I'm sure you're aware, the city's facing pretty serious budget issues. Again, if you're elected, how do you propose to address the budget issues? And do you feel that employees are overpaid?
Well, I think that we seriously have some serious cost issues, as you pointed out, has just come out in the paper. And if you look at a lot of those, a lot of that is police overtime. And why is that? Because we're short-staffed with police. We don't have enough. We have never come to Measure Y staffing levels. And so because of that, we have so many cops filling in on for other cops. And then we've learned that we've had cops calling out if somebody gets sick or somebody's injured. You're still, not only the cops that were missing from Measure Y levels, but just not even the regular operation levels.
So you were a supporter of Measure Y.
I was a very active supporter of Measure Y.
And so in looking at that now, one of the questions I've asked others who are seated on the council as well as candidates, the council has a series of committees, CETA committee, Audit, Budget, Finance, Rules Committee, Public Safety. The real question is where oversight should live by way of the City Council. Should the council, when it passes new programs, policies, or procedures, have a regular review process by having an oversight committee? Mm-hmm. Or is that a function of audit, budget, and finance? Do you have any thoughts or feelings on that?
Yeah, I think that certainly audit has its role, and it's very clear and needed, especially in the city with our concerns around the budget, to have that department, that agency, looking over to make sure we're spending our money correctly. It relates to this issue I'm concerned about, very frankly, with Measure Y, and that is accountability. We discourage our citizens when we put forth ideas that never get passed, and put forth things like Measure Y and say we're funding violence prevention. But if our citizens don't see it, if our citizens still see young men standing up on street corners, and drive down Martin Luther King one day, and you'll find so many of these young men, young women just standing up and down the street, being tempted by dice or by dope, whether it be early morning or late at night. This is what goes on. And when people drive and see this, they assume, and when they read about the homicides in the paper in these communities and they hear the gunshots, they assume nothing is being done.
Right.
And so we all need to know exactly what is being done. I know that staff have reported to the City Council that we need to look at reevaluating some of the programs that are funded in violence prevention. The Council has continued to just pass it on through. That passing through is not leadership. We owe the citizens of this community. We sold the Measure Y, we promoted it to them, and we owe it to them to have this be an effective accountable program in terms of violence prevention. Right. On the other side, in terms of police, we need to fill these police vacancies. We need to get more police in, and once we bring it to the Measure Y staffing levels, we need to see, is this going to work? Are we as a city, we've been told by outside auditors that we should really be at 1,100, right. Some say 1,400. Well, we know, as you just brought up with the budget, how are we ever going to be able to do that? We need to look at what steps we need to take. But first we need to get to the very basics because recruitment has been such an issue.
Sure. So rating the City Council and the job they're doing, and rating the mayor, and I guess we can take them separately, can you give a letter grade or a scale of 1 to 10 grade for the City Council? And do you have one for the mayor?
Well, I think that the mayor, we all still have a lot of hope and expectation as a City Council member. I look forward to working with the mayor. His experience, both on the world stage and his acumen and wisdom, is something the city sorely needs. I think what has been the big criticism is that we haven't seen enough of our mayor. And in that, throughout the last year, he stated, frankly, in his city address, that, he was doing a lot of learning and a lot of growing and bringing the groups and the task force together, and I certainly appreciate that. So in that period of learning for him, where was the City Council? Where was the City Council to really drive this city forward? They've all been there for too long, for many of them, and yet they didn't actualize plans to get things done.
So do we have a letter grade or a scale of 1 to 10 for either?
I would say that they get a below passing grade.
The City Council?
Yeah.
And how about the mayor?
I would give the mayor a passing grade, and I would, as a teacher's note, if I have that opportunity, to just encourage him to be out there more and to be more visible.
So improve attendance.
Improve attendance.
Okay.
Sure.
So moving on, how long have you lived in Oakland?
I've been part of this community for the last 6 years, and you know, have been leading Covenant House in that time, from growth, from a community service center. The focus of Covenant House's work has kept me busy and not as active in the community as I'd like to be. However, I've been involved with the Rainbow Chamber of Commerce, the FEMA board, and making sure that we have emergency responses and emergency shelter here in Oakland.
Where from? Where before Oakland?
Oh, before Oakland, I was in New York City. I was born and raised in Brooklyn and Queens. And then Covenant House sent me down to Washington, D.C., and I worked from there. So I've been working for Covenant House for over 12 years, since 1996.
Wow.
And then I went down to Washington, D.C., and in 2002, Covenant House had gotten some funds to start planning for a larger facility. We just had the storefront. So I was very eager to use my experience in building a building that I did in D.C. to take that here and grow the program in Oakland.
Sure.
And it's been such great and satisfying work to grow us to a capacity now where we see 5,000 kids on the street. 1,000 of those come in for services, and from that, over 100 get shelter from us every year.
Amazing. Tell me a little bit about, so you've been here for 6 years. Do you have a favorite restaurant in Oakland?
Oh, I do. Well, I have a lot of favorite restaurants.
Well, okay, why don't you name 3?
Okay. I feel like being biased and leaving some out, but giving me 3 at least gets me off the hook with one. I would say my favorite is Citron, and that it has to be, if it wasn't already, because Chris Rossi, the owner and executive chef there, is such a great guy. He'll be, for the 2nd year in a row, providing free the food at Covenant House's annual gala, which, let me tell you, is beyond a bargain. To have him, and we know you'll
always
be there.
A plug for Covenant House. That's
you know,
okay. So you're running for city council, but you take the time for a plug for Covenant House. That's okay.
Thank you.
Permitted.
Thank you.
Permitted.
In terms of my other favorite restaurants, I'd say La Bordenquina. One, because of its history, and you can get a history lesson about something in Oakland every time you go. It's right here in Old Oakland, 7th Street, and the Ramos family has run that and been part of the history of Oakland and its gentrification in the past and its problems in the past and rich cultural history. And you can get a great meal there, too. And what's new on the list, which I'm excited about and shows great promise for what's coming down with the advent of the Fox and so forth, is Flora. I'm just so thrilled about Flora being there, and think that it's a sign of positive nightlife to be happening in downtown. And that's something, as a city council member, I want to see develop. And I want to work with some small businesses, and there are some people that want to take advantage of cabaret license. We need to remove the outdated structures around cabaret licensing and allow more to come down here, and there are responsible businesses that want to do it.
Sure.
And that's something the city council member needs to do in terms of allocating funds and resources, is partner up with these groups, partner up with small business, because I'm a big promoter of small business. My mother's a small business founder and owner, and believe very strongly if we partner with small businesses, they are the ones that are going to hire locally and help us get young people and first-timers out of the street.
Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green, party designation?
I'm very much a Democrat.
Very much a Democrat. And Clinton, Obama, McCain?
I was an Edwards supporter, and now I've been behind Barack Obama.
Okay.
And the more this contest goes on, though I wish it were over, the more I'm certain that I made the right choice.
So June 3rd's the election.
June 3rd's the election.
And you have a website?
SeanSullivan.org. Yes.
Okay. So I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll have you back in the future.
I'd love to. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.